Welcome back to Byerwood. My name is Stelio, and on this episode of City Skylines, I'm going to be just finishing up voicing over the last of the gameplay that I have for this series. So, if you don't know this, I haven't been able to access this save in a while, and I've just been making these videos on the pre-recorded gameplay I have, and this is the last bunch of it I have. So, the only way I'm going to be able to get footage of the city now is going back and chopping up frames of what I have of footage because I can't get into the load. But besides that, I'm just going to be placing more neighborhoods, and what's more fitting, I feel like I've spent a majority of my time in this series placing down these triple-decker housing. I don't have much more to say except this is what the neighborhood is going to be filled with, and it's going to be butting up an industrial area, which is going to be the main build of this video. So I'm excited to work on the industrial. I was excited building this industrial area, and I thought this would have been a really nice area in the city because it's not really close to the other industrial areas of this city, and it's kind of this own factory in its own area, but the space it takes up is so massive. It's more of an industrial park, I would say, than your typical factory. So when I get to the build, you'll see what I'm talking about. Houses, I've somehow found a way to keep placing these in an interesting way and in unique patterns because I feel like I've placed so much at this point that there is no unique way to place these, but you can still find some new orders and a new color in the palette that you haven't used. And obviously I don't do that individually for every single house, but there's some colors of houses you're just like, no, that can't stay. I really wish I could play this save right now because just looking at the progress that I made here, I was really getting far, and I was really going to get to the point soon where I would have been able to start detailing the city heavily, and then we would have made a lot of progress. I had all the county out here painted out. You can see these roads all out here. I was going to do some towns hopefully in the future, but that never came to fruition. If you see this weird misshapen oval right here, that is where the new factory is going to go, along with the neighborhood around it. I also just built a little park right here. Or I would just call it a green space. So here it is, the last big build of this series, and that is this factory industrial complex. So I actually started building it without recording, which was a mistake, but luckily I caught on because this was one of my better builds in the city, so I'm glad that I was able to get this on footage before, losing the city. But this place takes inspiration from a lot of different industrial parks and heavy industrial areas throughout cities, but there's one in Worcester that I'm definitely actually going to take some Google Earth pictures of and get some pictures of, because this place is just, it's your stereotypical, just polluted, gross industrial area. Whatever they produce there has to get produced there, and there's no other option because that place is just, I would not want to work there. But the jobs that get done there have to get done, so whoever does work there and deals with those conditions, thank you, because those jobs do not look fun. Those factories do not look fun to work in, and that was kind of the area that I was going for. So if this doesn't look like the cleanest or nicest place, well, that's exactly what I was going for. I would guess, I'm assuming they're working with plastics and working with like minerals and stuff like that. There aren't too many industrial areas left in cities, even in New England cities and any city really. They've kind of, that's sort of been outsourced to other countries to do that kind of stuff. So manufacturing isn't at an ideal, and isn't at a high point in America. So a lot of these buildings and companies are actually shut down, and a lot of the buildings in an industrial park like this most likely aren't even in operation anymore. So you kind of have to make them look dingy. You have to make them look old, outdated, rusted. You know, there's kind of that reputation to it just because it's an old area, and a lot of the stuff hasn't been used in a long time because the businesses have left. You might notice that there's housing pretty close to all these factories and warehouses, and that's very realistic actually. There's a lot of people live pretty close to these industrial areas because, you know, that was the norm back then. You wanted to live close to the job that you were working in, and the people that were working these factory jobs were also working in triple deckers, so well, not working in them, living in them. So it makes sense that an industrial area would be surrounded by housing because, you know, you want your workers to be able to get to work. It's also visible from the highway, which is the same thing as the industrial complex in Worcester. And hopefully I can visualize what I'm talking about when I show some Google Earth frames. I managed to fit a little power plant in here too, and maybe that's what part of it is. I'm honestly not sure. But right now, I'm pretty sure I'm done with that main build, and I'm just going to be placing houses from here on out. So that was just the build of the buildings, and of course eventually I wanted to get back and detail that area because that was one of my hot spots of the city. There were a few areas that I had in mind that I really wanted to work in. I really wanted to do heavy detailing in the entertainment district, obviously the downtown. I wanted to do heavy detailing by the hospital, by the arena, and by this industrial complex here because I thought these areas were just, that area came out really nice, and if I got to prop it up and put, you know, full detail, I feel like that area would have been one of the best in the city. But this is the last of the gameplay here of just me placing houses and wrapping it up, so I think I'm going to try to make a 35th episode of all the gameplay that I have and, you know, kind of montage it together, but I don't know how that'll work, so yeah, I'll see you in the next series, I guess. Not in the next episode of Byerwood, but I'll see you later. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.